Drury with a good play. Canes keep it on the score! Marty Necas puts Carolina up 1-0 on brilliant defense to offense from Carolina. Bulgowski's shot deflected up front to score. Kaprizov got the stick out in front. And we're tied at 1 with 2:17 left here in the first period. Now Minnesota will try to establish some sort of power play here with 34 seconds left. And it's worked across. Hartman, they'll get it out in front, and they'll jam at it. And Ronta has to make the save on Maroon out in front. Now across Zuccarello's drive. That goes off the mask of Ronta and into the corner. 4 seconds left in the power play. Kaprizov shuttled to the side of the net. Eriksson Ek with a good look. And that's off target. Out of the box comes Bunting. Canes penalty killers have done the job. For the Wild still hanging on to the puck. They'll spin and score from the slot. Kirill Kaprizov is having himself quite the game against Carolina. His second makes it a 2-1 Wild lead. Now Bunting with the lane. He scores! Michael Bunting with the snipe. And we're tied at 2. Puck comes back out to the point. Eriksson Ek throws it. Shot put on. Ronta makes the save. Spinning chance. It goes out in front. Ronta again. It's loose. And Eriksson Ek deposits it into the empty net. And the Wild get the lead right back. Directed out in front. Stahl with it after a Bunting redirect. Slavin with it. Work back. Aho. Burn shot. That's blocked by Kaprizov. Necas with it. 2:10 left here in the third.
Welcome to the Canes Corner podcast. I am Adam Gold. After a disappointing 5-2 Minnesota Wild win here on home ice of the Carolina Hurricanes, 6-game homestand did not go according to Hoyle, did it now? 3 wins, 2 losses, 1 overtime loss. A lot of reasons for tonight, and we'll get to them. Also, special guests we're going to bring in here in just a matter of moments. So just stay tuned for that. Quick thoughts. And I'm going to say this right off the top because it's a frustrating game. And it's a game that you look at the standings. Carolina is here. Minnesota is here. How do you not win? By the way, Florida's saying the exact same thing. They allowed Minnesota to score 5 power play goals in a 6-4 Wild win down there on Friday. But if you think that this is about the goaltender, I just don't know what to tell you, because it is not about the goaltender. Whether or not Carolina needs a goalie is a separate issue than this game tonight. And I saw a lot of, we need a goalie, we need a goalie, we need a goalie, we need, like, 2 things can be true at the same time. Does Carolina need a goalie? Yes, it just remains to be seen what type of goalie they need. But tonight, back here behind me, it had nothing to do with the goaltender tonight. It had everything to do with mental mistakes, with Dmitry Orlov deciding that Kirill Kaprizov wasn't worth marking behind him, that Orlov and Bunting and Kokoniemi decided to watch the puck rather than somebody clear Joel Eriksson Ek out of the dead slot with the puck behind the net. Like, we got to be better. And we got to be smarter as people to understand what's the problem and what isn't the problem. Tonight, the goaltender was not the problem. Tonight, it was attention to detail that was the problem. Also, no Andrei Svechnikov tonight. So hopefully this is not something that's going to linger. Upper body did not practice yesterday. So, and I think we're all just kind of bummed because it was an opportunity tonight. It was an opportunity to gain ground on the Rangers, who are about to play in Anaheim tonight. It was an opportunity to leapfrog over Philadelphia, surprising Philadelphia, who lost at home 5-3 to Ottawa, giving up a 3-2 lead entering the third period tonight. So there's a lot of reasons to be frustrated with all of that. So not a single of the 3 goals really is on Ronta. That was really on the guys in front. And such is life. All right. Without further ado, and I'm going to get to a bunch of questions, I want to add to the mix my new bestie, BFF, Thomas George. Quick background before I let Thomas talk to us. I received a letter. This is right before Thanksgiving. maybe a week or so before Thanksgiving. Received a letter, which, frankly, I can't remember the last time I wrote a letter, although I did write one to Thomas, telling me how much he likes the post-game show and how much he likes the podcast, how big a Hurricanes fan he is. He included some artwork that I am incapable of even duplicating. And I thought the best way to show my appreciation, other than to send him a letter back, was to invite him on the Canes Corner podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Thomas George. Thomas, first of all, I want to thank you for sending that letter. It meant, I can't tell you how much it meant to me. So thanks for making all of that I do here. Thanks for making it worthwhile. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. We need Thomas's audio. Well, wait a second. That's my fault. Now try again.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See, if I knew what I was doing, Thomas, then that wouldn't have happened. All right, thoughts on what we saw. And by the way, Thomas is a huge Marty Necas fan. I thought, man, we should have done this Friday night. You don't have school on Saturday. We could have done it Friday night, but we did get a goal from number 88 today, so that's pretty good for you.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was great passing, right through. He had the stick in his lane, and I think it was Nason, I think it was Nason gave it to him, and he just buried it.
Yeah, it was great. Great pass from 23. That line. What do you like about Drury, Nason, and Necas? They seem to do pretty well together.
Yeah, I think Drury's a really good center. He's been good lately. I think their lines just been I guess cooking.
I guess so. All right, give me your thoughts on what we saw, and then I'll ask you some other questions. I appreciate you doing this. What's your bedtime, by the way?
I don't know.
Good. Perfect. We don't have to worry about it. All right, so give me your thoughts on what we saw tonight. Why do you think the Hurricanes unfortunately lost this game 5-2?
Yeah, I think the first goal, Ronta didn't see it. I just don't think he saw it, and
no,
the guy got to stick to it, and it just went in. I think it was, I don't know. It was the guy who got the hat trick. I know that.
Kaprizov.
Got it. Yeah, Kaprizov had gotten it. And then we had lots of shots. I think it was like a total of 88 shot attempts total in the night. And it was like, you got 2 goals out of 42 shots. And you're like, nothing's going in. I think we could have had better net front presence in the game. And I don't think we had the greatest net front presence. But yeah.
Yeah, and the first goal, as I mentioned before, Dmitry Orlov, who made such a great play on the Necas goal to keep the puck in the zone. He kicked the puck. I don't know if you play soccer at all, but I mean, first touch was outstanding, and it created the whole sequence. And then he just kind of let Kaprizov kind of drift behind him without staying with him. And then Kaprizov scores the second goal through traffic, and the third goal was the third goal.
So,
So why is Necas your guy?
I like seeing overtime, and I think Necas, I love his skating ability. I love going skating. I love how fast he is. So I love watching overtime, and the 3-on-3 is my favorite part. And I think it's just cool to watch him just light it up in 3-on-3.
I mean, it is at times, it takes your breath away. I talked to Jack Drury before the game today, and he actually talked about it. He goes, sometimes you can just watch him. And you get caught up in watching him because he is such a great skater. Hopefully, Necas will continue playing like he's played the last 2 games, and he becomes an enormous part of what they're doing. Do you play hockey? How did you become such a fan?
I don't play hockey, but we moved into my grandparents' house because we were building a house across the street, and they had a radio connected to the clock. And I turned on the radio to 99.9 The Fan one night. It was the Hurricanes. So I printed out their schedule, and I kept listening to it. And I just loved listening to all the games. And then I started watching them. I found out a way to watch them. And I just basically fell in love with the team.
How old were you when you started listening to them on the radio?
That was last year. So last season.
Wow, so you are really brand new to this. You have
Right.
picked the game up very very well. Now you're 10, right?
I've just turned 12 in
Oh,
December.
what did maybe I can't read. Maybe you should write me more letters and I will get practice reading. So you just turned 12 in December.
Yep.
What else do you like about the Hurricanes and the game?
Um, I just love the fast pace of it. I like watching the fast pace and the hits, and then it's just so cool to see the chemistry between the guys and just the passing. And then I really like math, and I feel like there's a lot of math in the game.
Explain where the math is. I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah,
Where's the math in the game?
yeah. I think with the passes, I think there's a lot of math in the passes, and then from being at games, like watching Slavin shoot it off against the boards. And I remember the first game I went to, he shot like 3 of them, and they went around the boards. And I was like, "That's math. That's math right there."
Geometry,
Yeah,
right?
geometry.
It
Yep.
that was like one of the few maths that I was really good at was geometry. It's all about angles, finding the shooting angle, cutting down an angle for a goaltender. The passes off the boards. Actually, if you remember try to remember which goal it was. I think it was the goal that made it 2-1 Carolina yesterday. Was it Friday where Jarvis passed the puck right off the
Mhm.
wall behind the net around to so very like I did not consider that a math problem. Are you good at math otherwise?
I'm pretty good. Try to keep the grades at an A.
There was quiet confidence there from Thomas. That is fantastic. Is that your favorite? Is math your favorite subject?
Yeah, it is. I really like math.
All right. Now art is probably pretty good. You drew pictures at the bottom of the letter you sent, and you do a pretty good job. Did you write any of the like the Hurricanes at times will do artwork of a player?
Yeah,
Did you draw any pictures of players?
I did not. I did not draw any of those pictures of the players. But I've seen the videos of them, and then they're trying to guess who they are, and those are always fun to watch.
They are absolutely great. Give me some other thoughts that you have about the Hurricanes, maybe what they need. Trade deadline is about 6 weeks away. What do you think?
I think we need a goalie, and I know
Mhm.
there's not very many out there.
You're
We
right.
need a goalie that's older, like Yanni Peretz. He says he can stop pucks, which is a good thing. But we need a goalie that has more experience and a
Hmm.
goalie that we can rely on to be a starter. And there's not very many out there. Like I've been looking, there's not very many at all.
You're 100% correct. That's the little problem with we need a goalie is that
Right.
yeah, there has there has to be one available. And I also think that just to be kind of accurate about this, we also don't know what Pyotr Kochetkov is going to be when he comes back. They
Right.
might not need a number one goalie. They might
You're
just
right.
need somebody who is reliable if needed. Because if Kochetkov can be the one, and Ronta is healthy, and Anderson comes back at some point, well, then they don't need a goalie. So
Right.
they can use those assets to now you do not remember when Elias Lindholm played here, but
Mm-mm.
Lindholm, the one of the centers for the Calgary Flames, would
Mhm.
look awfully good, and I would throw a lot of assets to reacquiring him. He wanted to play here for this head
Yeah.
coach. Have you been to a game yet this year?
I've been to 2, so I saved up enough money to go to the Islanders game on the 23rd, and
Hmm.
I got tickets almost 2 hours before the game, and they were like on sale, and we sat at the very top of the first bowl.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't win that game though, did we?
We didn't. I think it was a 5-4
Yeah.
loss, but I remember Teravainen scored, Nason scored, Aho scored, and then there was one other who scored. I can't remember that one other, but it was cool because we sat right behind where the Canes scored twice, which is the first time I'd ever sat behind there. And it was cool to watch them strike twice there.
So you guys were up. Were you with your dad?
I was with
Oh,
my dad for that game.
You were like behind the goal, all the way up at the top of that section. That's a great
Yes.
vantage point
Right.
to watch a game. I sit all the way up on the 5th floor, looking down at everything in the press box. We are really high away. The closer you are, the faster the game looks,
Right.
and it's almost scary how fast it is the
Right.
closer you are to the ice. It makes me scared. So, anything you want to add, Thomas, before I let your mom and dad have you for the rest of the night?
I don't think so. I think it's good. Thank you.
No, thank you. That's Thomas George. Let's stay in touch, and we'll do it again.
You got it.
All right, Thomas. Thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you.
All right. And again, I want people to understand how old school it was for Thomas to write a letter. He's too young to be old school, but man, it was one of the most thrilling things that I have received. I've been doing this for 26 years now, not hurricane stuff, but been on the radio. I've gotten letters, but nothing like what I got from you, Thomas. So I appreciate it. Sleep well. Have fun at school tomorrow. Kill them in math.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thomas George, absolutely amazing stuff that I got that letter from him. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it lightens the mood a little bit. And because, look, tonight was a frustrating game. And I don't mean to be that guy when it comes to what happens out here with our favorite team, because it's our favorite team, right? I don't mean to be that guy. But sometimes we got to sound like a smarter fan base. Two things can be true at the same time. One, the Hurricanes can need a goalie. I'm not against that. We don't know what type of goalie they need right now. Because if you go out and you pay a bunch of assets for a number one goalie, and by the way, who is that number one goalie? Anybody? Anybody got one? That makes sense for this team. And Pyotr Kochetkov comes back and reestablishes himself as the number one goalie. And look, I have my doubts about Kochetkov as well. But when you get from where middle of December, that game in Ottawa where he played so well, and then the game in Detroit where he played well again, and you basically play 11 games in a row where you're outstanding except for that one game that Thomas was at against the Islanders. And you've established yourself as maybe a guy that they can rely upon. What happens if he comes back from this concussion and he's that guy again? Well, then you don't need the number one goalie. So we have to figure out, what type of goaltender they need. Look, I'm not going to lie and say that I don't think the Hurricanes need a number one goalie or need a goalie, because I said it a long time ago. And this is before Kochetkov went on that run. I thought that if they didn't get a goaltender by Christmas, they wouldn't make the playoffs. And like a week later, Kochetkov went on a tear. So we don't know what type of goalie they need. Marc-Andre Fleury wasn't on the roster tonight. Apparently got shaken up in the game at Florida. So he was not even the backup tonight. So could Marc-Andre Fleury be that guy? Yeah, I think he can. I think he would be outstanding insurance. But if you add him, are you adding him to play, 60% of the games the rest of the way? Or are you adding him as a major insurance policy? I don't know. And what are you giving up for what amounts to just an insurance policy? Again, we got to find out what Kochetkov is when he comes back. He skated at practice yesterday, spent half of the practice with the main group. So my guess is we're going to get through the next 3 games. They claimed Spencer Martin off waivers from Columbus. He'll either play in Boston or the next night at home against the Devils. And After that, they have the game against Arizona. My guess is as long as Auntie Ronta is healthy, Ronta will play either Wednesday or Thursday and then Saturday, and then we got 10 days off. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say by that point, I think we'll see Kochetkov back. Carolina's got 3 more home games before they go back out on the road. Part of the, I guess it will already be in February at that point. So we still don't know what they need. And the trade deadline is not until March. And right now, Carolina's place in the standings is not demanding that they go out and get a goalie today. So pump the brakes on the goalie because we don't know what they need. Right now, the goalies that are available aren't great. And the goalie, like I talked about this on Friday, we're not going to go after Elvis Merzlikins. We're not going to. John Gibson, maybe, but he's got 3 more years left at $5 million per, and I just don't see that for this team. I don't. So, especially because they believe that Kochetkov is this close to being the guy. So I see them more along the lines of somebody with this being the last year. So Fleury, Jake Allen, maybe. Heck, I wouldn't be completely surprised to see the return of Peter Mrazek if Chicago doesn't sign him to a long-term contract. Mrazek's been great. Look, Mrazek loved it here. He loved playing for this head coach, and I think we all loved Mrazek anyway. So it's possible that that's the guy. I don't know. I'll throw another name out there just in case, because he's in the last year of his contract, or he's got 1 more year left, I think, on a contract. UC Saros. If Nashville falls out of it, they're going to turn it over to Askarov, the rookie, their prospect. 1 more year left for Saros. I think you can get him. I think you might be able to go get him, and you could certainly lean on him. And if you decide that you're going to go with Kochetkov next year, I don't think you'd have any trouble moving Saros after the season. With 1 year left in a deal, I don't think you'd have any trouble at all. So I'll throw those names at you, but there's no indication right now that Nashville is making Saros available because Nashville's still very much in the playoff hunt. All right, a couple of quick things, and then I want to I'll go through some questions or some comments, if you will. To me, there was almost no difference between tonight's game and the game against Detroit. Carolina allowed 12 shots on goal against the Red Wings, and of the 2 goals they allowed, they were both entirely on Carolina, created by Carolina. Whether it was coverage, bad play, ill-advised, like the the power play goal they allowed, Jarvis and Shea trying to make a play shorthanded. Discretion, better part of valor. Just get the puck behind the net. Don't try to make a play just inside the blue line, because it ended up going the other way and it was 2-on-1. The other play, puck jumped Jesper Foss stick, and it ends up going the other way for a 2-on-1. Honestly, of the 5 goals that Antti Raanta allowed in the last 2 games, those are the 2 goals that you would have liked to have seen him stop. To be honest, they won the game yesterday. Nobody was complaining about Raanta yesterday, but those were the 2 goals of the 5 that you would have liked to have seen him stop. Got his glove on the first, probably saved that. And he had time on the second, and he came out, and he was small. So the puck was not getting passed back. JT Compher was not passing it back. And frankly, he's just low. Come out, attack, make yourself bigger, all of that. But to me, there was no difference between these 2 games, except this. I thought Minnesota, their best period was the 3rd period. And Carolina's good in the 3rd period. But Carolina's best period was the 1st period, didn't get enough out of it. Power play goes 0 for 4. There's your problem right there. No Andrei Svechnikov tonight had something to do with it. I thought the first 2 power plays were good. I thought the first one was really good, just didn't score. The next minute or so, the first minute or so of the next power play, outstanding. And then Michael Bunting takes the penalty. So your power play is gone. And Minnesota scored right after their abbreviated power play ended. The last 2 power plays for Carolina, it looked like they were just trying to make perfect plays, as opposed to, hey, let's get some bodies in front of the net. Let's get the puck to the net and see what we can do. And sometimes you need to simplify it. And they didn't do a good job of simplifying it, I thought, on the last 2 power plays. And again, no Andrei Svechnikov. I'll get to personnel in a second. All right, actually, I'll just get to personnel now. So Dmitry Orlov made a great play on Carolina's first goal. Right? We can all agree? A great play on Carolina's first goal. He, soccer style, great first touch, keeps the puck in the zone. Jack Drury picks up the puck, gets it over, kind of weaves through traffic, gets it over to Steph Nason. Nason makes a beautiful diagonal pass to Necas, one-timer. That's the goal. Great goal. Super goal. But late in the period, about 2 minutes to go in the period, I think, Orlov allows Kirill Kaprizov to drift behind him to the right of Ranta. And Orlov there's probably, I don't know, 5-7 feet of separation between he and Kaprizov. And a long shot from the blue line gets through, and Kaprizov to the right of the goal from off the frame redirects it behind Antti. That goal ain't on Ranta. That goal's on Orlov. You simply have to be better. Orlov was also part of the third goal extravaganza. And you've got a minute 15 after Carolina ties it on the Bunting goal, which was a great shot. Man, blocker's side, just under the bar, dynamite. To make it 2-2. It's basically the next shift, or it's the second wave of the next shift. There's no whistle. And you have opportunities to get the puck out of the zone, and you don't. Brendan Lemieux tries to skate it out, and I forget who stripped him of the puck, but they stripped Lemieux of the puck, and it stayed in the zone, never left. And you knew, I'm sitting, leaning over the press box here, going, you have to get the puck out of the zone. And they had some other opportunities as well, and they lost some physical battles. But then with the puck behind the net, and Carolina with 4 of their 5 players on the ice, right in front of Ranta, how is it possible that nobody gets a body on Joel Eriksson Ek? How is that possible? Bunting was there. Kokaniemi was there. Orlov was there. And nobody got a body on him. Chatfield was there too, but Chatfield was whacking at the puck. Like, somebody has to put a body and tie up the stick. Even if you take another penalty, you can't allow Joel Eriksson Ek, who's got his 19th goal on that play, you can't allow that to happen. But they did. Which brings me to this. And I've said this before, so this is not going to come as a surprise. Carolina probably could have spent $12.25 million better than on Bunting and Orlov. $12.25 million. Bunting has 2 more years left in a deal. Orlov has 1 more. I don't think either of those players has made Carolina better. Now, we're only halfway through the season, so the die is not completely cast. But Michael Bunting, to me, has been a disappointment. Notice he's not playing on Carolina's top line. He did tonight, subbing for Svechnikov. But he makes, and I don't even like him on the power play, to be perfectly honest. They've got him in the bumper. He scores some goals. I mean, he's not inept. He's not a complete waste. But he gives the puck away a lot. His penalty negated the second part of Carolina's power play that ultimately led to the second goal for Minnesota. They made it 2-1. But he gives the puck away. He's not great defensively. And he hasn't played the physical, agitating game that Carolina needs. Like, Brendan Lemieux has played more of a physical, agitating game. Now, that's his game. That's the only thing he does. But Lemieux has played more of that than Bunting has. Heck, Nason has played more of that than Bunting has. So if Michael isn't going to do that, then, man, it's just so disappointing. And by the way, the production's down. He's got 10 goals now. He scored 26 each of the last 2 years. Granted, playing with Matthews and Marner or Matthews and Nylander, you're going to get more goal-scoring opportunities. I'm not even, trying to hide that fact. But I think his points have been at times empty. Like, he got an assist. He got the primary assist on the Svechnikov power play goal for, I guess, not being able to do anything with the pass that I gave him. It deflected off his stick right to Svech. And then Svech kind of pulled it back and punched it through. So Bunting hasn't been good or good enough. It's hard to say somebody who is on pace for about 45 points. It's hard to say he hasn't been good. He's been okay. But $4.5 million worth, not for me. And Orlov is essentially a solid third-pair defenseman with flaws. $7.75 million. I mean, frankly, they could do better. They could have a better skater back there. Right now, I think one of the saving graces is that Jalen Chatfield has played as well as he has, which, frankly, I expect. But the way Chatfield plays has been perfect to cover for Orlov. I mean, perfect. So I think Carolina, again, $12.25 million could have been better spent. I understand why they did what they did. I get it. I'm not complaining about Carolina dipping into their wallet in free agency and going after certain players. I didn't disagree. I didn't dislike Bunting. I didn't dislike the signing of Orlov. First of all, the signing of Orlov was really the first move in a series of moves that never happened after that. Although one of them happened anyway with Tony DeAngelo, which they kind of really didn't need after the fact, but I think they had already decided they were going to do it, and I still think that they were trying to move Brett Pesce. And we would have seen DeAngelo and Orlov on a third pair, but you might have seen Orlov play with Brady Shea. Anyway, I don't think either of those moves has really made Carolina better. And again, Orlov's fine. Bunting is fine. I'm not calling them bad players. I'm just simply saying that I've been disappointed. This team has not gotten what they really need from Michael Bunting, and they have not gotten what they really need from Dmitry Orlov. That's where I am. As we get closer to the trade deadline, I mean, it's theoretically possible that one or both could be involved in trade talk. Neither has trade protection, and we're beyond any point in the season where, you could trade both of them, right? I think everything should be in play for the Hurricanes. There are so many players who are due contracts who can walk away after this season. Pesce can walk. Shea can walk. I believe, can Jalen Chatfield walk? He might be an unrestricted free agent. Teravainen can walk. This is the year you have to set this team up for postseason success. What they do, we'll find out. Their history at trade deadlines, not great. Not great at all. Not good, Bob. But I don't believe they've ever looked at it as this is the year, even though they probably should have. This is the year. Jarvis is due a contract next year. Necas, maybe. I mean, he's due one. We'll just see who gives it to him, Carolina or somebody else. He'll be a restricted free agent after the season. So there's a lot. There's a lot going on. A lot of stuff to consider when this season's over, but a lot of stuff for the front office to consider as we get closer to the trade deadline. So there you go. I've given you all of my thoughts, and we said hi. We made a new friend, Thomas George. Appreciate his time. Let me just go through this. Let Ponomarev play. I like Vasily. I got no problem with Vasily, but where does he play? I mean, he's got to have a place to play. So let Ponomarev play. That's easier said than done. But where? He's a center. When he came up and played his 2 games, he played center. They moved Jesperi Kotkaniemi to the wing, who ain't good at that. I remember the first year Kotkaniemi was here playing the wing mostly, and he was lost and then started to play much better when he played center. So I'm not saying that Ponomarev can't play here. I think he can, but at the expense of who does he play? Because it would have to be at somebody's expense. Right now, Carolina's best 3 centers are Aho, Stahl, and Drury. I believe that Jack Drury is Carolina's 3rd best center. Kotkaniemi, which I think we see how the lines have shaken out right now, is playing the 4C, which is a little disappointing that he's not dominating because he should be dominating, but he's not. So they have to find a way to clear room for Ponomarev, and I'm not sure that's so easy to do. But if Carolina goes out and gets a center, and if you believe the 4th period, Carolina's in the mix. I've spoken to this organization about interest in Lindholm last year, and I think interest is tepid. I hope that's not true. I hope that they are kind of keeping their cards close, because I think that Elias Lindholm is exactly what this team needs. Exactly what this team needs. But Ponomarev could play. And there was a time where I thought at the beginning of the season that if Jack Drury didn't start producing something, that they might dip down and bring Vasily up. But Jack has become, I think, a very valuable player. A very valuable player. So that's where we are. All right. We will be back on Wednesday after the Hurricanes play in Boston. First of 3 meetings between the Canes and the Bruins. It's Boston, home to New Jersey the next night, and then home to Arizona before the All-Star break. Carolina needs to get 5 points out of the next 3 games. I say 5. Do no worse than drag the game in Boston into overtime and then win your next 2. Again, I didn't really harp on this, but I think Carolina's last 12 games at home to be just 5-3-4, I think is disappointing. It's you're 5-7 on home ice in your last dozen. This was the time where Carolina was supposed to take advantage of being at home, and they haven't done that. You've got 5 more home games after the game against Boston before they go head out on the road again. So need to get a little bit better better at home, but I also think they need to play a little harder. Not in terms of effort. I'm talking about in terms of the style of play. A little harder, a little bit more difficult, a little bit more gumption, if you will. All right, we're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. On Hamlin Road in Durham, no place like it. Sammy Hanna's crew do a great job. Super job. And you can get a free no obligation estimate at home. All you got to do is go online, aluminumcompany.com, and Sammy Hanna's crew will take great care of you. We're here after every Hurricanes game, unless I have youth soccer. And I appreciate your time. You can subscribe and like. I think that's how you do it here on the YouTubes. Or you can subscribe or like and download and all of that. Rate and review, whether you get your podcast through Apple or Spotify or Google Play, or I don't know where else you would get podcasts. I honestly do not. But I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday, even though the Hurricanes did not win over the Minnesota Wild 5-2. And until Wednesday, when the Hurricanes will beat the Boston Bruins up in Boston, because why not? I'm Adam Gold. Thank you very much for hanging out.